On this Kirblog, you're gonna learn some things from my new guest. But before that, a transformation you might be surprised by what we're gonna talk about now. I think you'll say, wow, and have a gay old time. I got him. Oldest trick in the book, but got him. Hello, hello, everybody. We're halfway through March. It's the you're hearing this the day before lovely St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're all getting nice and crunk over this weekend. This is a very special and long awaited for myself personally, Kirblog. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time. It was delayed for a few secret, mysterious reasons, but I'm very happy to have my new and interesting guests. Single guest, excuse me. Although you might, it's funny, I say that was not intentional, but you might think that, in fact, he is multiple people in a certain sense. Normally I open up, sir, with introducing my guest, but because you're kind of a special case, and I actually want to have this particular interview be sort of in a way, a little bit of an educational thing for a lot of people out there. I would like you to introduce yourself in whatever fashion you find the most appropriate, please.
Hi, Chaze the Chat. I created the channel SiIvaGunner, which is a collaborative channel, but most people just since I created it, I'm considered like the head of it.
You are the Siva man, by and large.
Yeah.
And I guess for those of you who have been uninitiated, whether just in general you have no idea what I'm talking about, or if perhaps you missed the April Fool's joke that myself and a bunch of folks worked on 2 years ago now already, Jesus.
Long time.
The short and easy answer is SiIvaGunner is that YouTube channel that uploads quote-unquote high-quality rips of video game music, but is in fact a bunch of more or less troll YouTube videos of what appears to be at first glance an upload of a piece of video game music, and then transforms into something else, most commonly the Flintstones theme. Is the most like basic description I can get in terms of, oh, that thing. Oh yeah, I know what that is, because that seems to be the conversation I have with people when referring to this channel in question. But I guess to go into a little more depth, and Chase, I know that you have I think actually even on a video on the channel and also at MagFest, because a bunch of you guys have gotten together to do some really excellent panels there. Why don't you give the kind of abridged version of the history of how this channel and the whole kind of thing came to be?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I started off as a SoundCloud mashup creator, and a bunch of the people responsible for the channel's just longevity or whatever are from SoundCloud, and we created a group, Discord. And eventually, to make them laugh, I just put the Flintstones theme into a Pokemon song, and that made them laugh. And I thought that was really funny, and I thought it would be even funnier if I disguised it as the actual upload of the song, but have it changed midway through to troll people. And the inspiration from that came from a long time ago, when Lil Karibo was making Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series way early, like the early days of it.
Yeah.
There would be troll uploads by other people just to fool people into watching different videos and stuff, and they were always awful. And I always thought it would be funny if one of those troll videos were actually like good. And had like effort put into it, so people would enjoy it even if it wasn't what they were looking for.
Right.
So that's basically the entire story for why I created it, because I thought it would be funny to troll people with. something that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, see, it's interesting too because Martin Little Karibo is a good friend of mine, and I feel like I've never actually had a conversation with him about SiIvaGunner before. Obviously, he was part of the April Fool's thing, which I'm sure I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But I didn't even think to make that connection of like, oh yeah, and I mean, because I remember following Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge like when it first started, which I can't even believe was like over a decade ago now.
Yeah,
and
totally. It's insane.
yeah, and it's funny because when I first heard you a while ago, I think in one of the videos where you described about how the whole process of it started, when you were talking about those like fake out videos, I was really surprised that I was like, oh, like that seems like such a like obvious thing that like stupid people would do back then, especially because that was still when YouTube was like relatively young in its existence, like in general. And I was so surprised that like in all my time in those early days, because that was like late high school for me, I never came across any of those videos before.
Oh, really?
No, but it made total sense when you first described it. So I was like, oh yeah, of course. And I thought that was kind of funny that like that was the origin point of it. But so. And I guess so. Kind of spinning off one particular thing you mentioned, because yeah, SoundCloud. I often forget this. I think a lot of people do, unfortunately. But it is kind of a place where a lot of really talented musicians, a lot of which have actually gone on to do a lot of really cool stuff, like in games and things, like indie games and stuff. There's a lot of really talented people on SoundCloud, and I feel like. It's unsurprising to hear that like you guys kind of formed the beginning of the community through there. So like when you started, like how many people was it? Like what was like kind of the whole general consensus of like, hey, why don't we like actually make like a full like sort of thing out of this? Especially to where you guys were having uploads like multiple times a day.
Yeah. So. When it first started, it was just me, and every once in a while, one of my friends would send in a track. And once people started noticing us was when we started actually uploading a bunch, and more people got in on it. Originally, it was just me and a few people in the group. It wasn't just the entire group making it. And then once more people started noticing it, was when it started expanding out to everyone in the group started doing stuff, and then it just sort of spiraled from there. In terms of like specific numbers, I'd say probably like 6 or 7 people like at the start.
Okay.
And then as it went on, it like once we started doing daily uploads, it was probably about 30, 40 people.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I've been part of the Discord for the last couple of years now, and I feel like I've just seen it grow in size.
Yeah, it gets bigger and bigger.
I mean, and it's interesting because I don't know for certain, but I would imagine that in the beginning it was probably a little bit of just like word of mouth, like, between different musicians. Because musicians, it's another one of those worlds where, much like art and voiceover and, et cetera, like on the internet, where like it's kind of a smaller world than you perceive. So I imagine it was a lot of just like connection through there. But, on like a general level, most people, I think, don't seem to know. You were joking earlier. They don't seem to know that it's a ton of people that all do this, especially with like the albums, which I want to talk about later and all that. But how has it continued to grow? Like how has it grown like since the beginning? Because it's been what, like 3-4 years now you've been doing it, compared to like more recently.
Yeah, we hit our 3-year anniversary on the 9th of January. So
oh wow.
It's been quite a while. In terms of how it's grown, originally it just started by YouTube direct messages from people, and once we started getting more popular, we thought to create an email address to get people to stuff, and whether it be like requests or just tracks in general to listen to, and it's grown based on just different requests just different submissions we've gotten, and if someone sends in enough and they're good, we like add them and they can be a part of the community too.
It's funny on the small world thing. I'm just remembering too, when I first reached out to Yoav, Living Tombstone, about working on the April Fool's thing. He mentioned like, oh yeah, I've actually done a couple things for them, and I was like, oh, like I couldn't tell you like what or how many tracks, but like once again I was like, oh, I'm not even surprised.
I think one of the things he made was the Five Nights at Freddy's Snoop Dogg thing we made.
Oh yeah, of course, that makes complete sense.
It was really funny. Yeah.
I guess. Okay. So I wanted to talk about this as well. So, people who follow the channel, because it's funny because Silva, it's one of those sort of things where it's like it has that sort of casual appeal of like, haha, I'm gonna link my friend to this and freak them out, and then they'll be like, what the hell? And it always gets that kind of reaction because it's so varied that it's like it works well enough for that kind of trolling use. But for the people that like have become like fans of the channel that like follow it, the kind of interesting thing to follow, and even from my outsider's perspective before I got to like know any of you guys, was like seeing whatever the like meme of the the meme of the month or week or even sometimes like the moment was.
Yeah.
I know in the well, okay, I don't necessarily know, but it seemed like in the very beginning, the major one that was like kind of a crux of the channel was the 7 Grand Dad thing, which was from a Vine Sauce video, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, which I think was I don't follow Vine Sauce super close. It was
Joel.
Right. Yes, that's right. So he was playing like some weird like bootleg Mario game that was a hack of a Flintstones game and etc. So like,
yes.
Was that like one of, or if not the first kind of? Well, actually, because sorry, you said the joke began with the Flintstones theme. So was it because of that video? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was indirectly because of that video because the 7 Grand Dad was a joke on SoundCloud itself because of a mashup artist who would always use it, and we always thought it was funny that he would always use it. So we would use the Flintstones theme to make other people laugh because of the fact that it's iconic to him specifically.
Right.
So so that's how it started basically for the channel.
Okay. So that kind of part of it sort of had a life of its own even before like SiIvaGunner specifically was.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
It wasn't nearly as big as it was now.
Right. Actually, by the way, because I feel like I'll forget this if I don't just ask this offhandedly, where does the name come from?
The name is actually interesting because it's got a long, complicated history now.
Okay, I'm curious.
Yeah. We started off as SiIvaGunner, which is basically the name of SiIvaGunner, which is a YouTube channel that actually uploads video game music.
Okay.
And I did that specifically to fool people that are looking for Nintendo music on SiIvaGunner's channel.
Okay.
And that channel originally started off as SiIvaGunner, and so or it didn't originally start. SiIvaGunner was a tribute to SiIvaGunner. So then when SiIvaGunner got deleted for impersonation or something, it was probably impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
We never really got a legit answer for that, but the original channel got deleted. So when I came up with when we came up with the idea of making another channel, we just went with SiIvaGunner to kind of make it go full circle in that regard.
Okay, let me unravel that. So SiIvaGunner was actually a YouTube channel that uploaded video game music, like, legitimately.
Yes,
like,
in 2007.
Got it. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so, and then that was taken down, and then SiIvaGunner was made as, like, the backup channel, a kind of thing.
And SiIvaGunner was a tribute channel by a different video game music uploader, but still, it was like they were friends or something. Okay,
so, and I'm assuming that those I don't know if maybe you guys ever had any interaction with them, but I'm assuming that the two people that started those channels were disconnected from the mashup stuff that you guys do.
Yes, I've actually talked to SiIvaGunner extensively, and he's actually a fan of us.
So very cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that specifically.
So, yeah, I would too. Okay, okay, see, that's funny because I think that when I first met you guys, like when I first like joined the Discord group a while ago, I feel like I might have asked like, how do you guys pronounce it? And you guys all were like, oh yeah, Siva or GivaGunner, not SiIvaGunner or Gilvasunner, specifically because of the fact, and those of you guys who don't know, this is actually kind of an unfortunate thing because shitty people on Twitter like to use this trick for like impersonating people for bad reasons. But it's that thing where like if you replace a lowercase L with an uppercase I, it tends to often look like the same symbol. So if somebody has like an L or an I in their name, they'll just use the reverse and like make a like a troll account that's like impersonating somebody. But in this case, well, I guess in a way you guys kind of did use your powers for evil, but it was playful. It was playful evil and not malicious evil.
Yeah.
So I guess back on the subject of the meme stuff specifically. I mean, there's been so many. I mean, because even not even just from my thing that I contributed a while ago, but also just from like a lot of the like medley sort of ones that people will often make, which I love that stuff. And I'm curious for the stories, as many as you can remember, like ones that stick out or ones that are maybe some of your personal favorites. The origins of certain memes that just became like long staples of like mashups that like have still continued on the channel like today.
Yeah, in terms of a lot of the memes that we've used have either been like in terms of the Nutshack, when we first started using the Nutshack, it really angered people. So that's why we started using it more. Because the interesting thing was we got to a point where we stopped kind of fooling people because a lot of people knew us.
Right.
Or we had a bigger audience. So what we had to do is we had to start angering our fans. Of course, that's the next logical step. Trolling people.
Of course.
So we would continue using the Nutshack, but then eventually we learned that if you use something enough, they start liking it. So you have to move on to something else after. And that's where I play Pokemon Go every day came from. Because I think we were trying to find something to replace the Nutshack with, and that was a pretty suitable replacement at the time anyway. And a lot of the memes, at least in the early days, stem from that. But in terms of like recently, like I think it's just stuff that we find funny, and we think it'd be funny if we put them on the channel, and if a lot of other people find it funny, then they'll continue submitting things until it gets bigger.
One in particular that is a personal favorite of mine, just because it spawns so many good mashups, not even just from you guys, but like even elsewhere too. And I knew something was really happening because I'm a big fan of Games Done Quick, and one of the years they were running Donkey Kong 64, and everyone on the couch, I think as the DK rap was coming on, they just start all in unison going CG Coconut Gun, and I'm like, oh, this is taking on like an even bigger life than I thought. I am curious. Do you know the story behind that one?
Yeah, my friend Hinchy I think they just woke up one day and they were making food or something. I don't remember what exactly they were doing, but they were making food, and all of a sudden she just thought of replacing the lines with Coconut Gun, and she thought it was really funny, so she just made it, and I think she said it was like a really quick time, but yeah, and it just stayed around really long.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through some of the older stuff. I mean, like Space Jam. I feel like the Space Jam ones happened a lot, like even before Silva. I feel like I can recall a lot of mashups of that from like back in the day, like even early YouTube. Mm-hmm. You know, Simpsons and Family Guy are okay, of course. And you know, sadly the passing of Stephen Carl makes this one a little bit of a downtrodden one, but certainly the fact that he appreciated it so much. I mean, I gotta ask about We Are Number One, because that's one of the best.
Mm-hmm. We Are Number One's one of my favorite memes. Also, just it started because one of the members really enjoyed the song. Mm-hmm. Or originally, actually, the the first rip of it was actually just a melody swapped by someone on the team. But I think through that, another member really enjoyed the song, so they decided to use it a lot, and we just really enjoyed the song.
That one's surreal to me because, I mean, I don't even remember how long ago. It was a long time ago, it felt like. But It's a Piece of Cake to Bake a Pretty Cake was another Lazy Town song that I would just hear, like, not remixes of, but just like people would use it as just like a weird like joke song. I think even Martin actually put it like in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged episode, like somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember that.
Yeah, like as one of the end tax songs or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know how long Lazy Town has been like running for with all the characters and everything. But like, yeah, that one, like when I saw the video of it, it was like, oh, it's this show. Yeah, this is where the We Are a Pirate, of course. Another big one, of course. Which I think also maybe Stefan Carl. I think he sang that one too. But
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did.
I mean, I guess kind of on that note too, like seeing, before of course he sadly passed away, but seeing like the response of like people that were part of the real show, like did that make that one and like that kind of era of like you guys doing a lot of Weird Number One stuff, like was that kind of very special as a result of that?
Yeah, it was really surreal, honestly. It was a few months after we had made the rip that got really popular. They did a stream where they were talking about how they really enjoyed the response We Are Number One was getting, and the fact that they released the instrument files and the vocals by themselves and stuff just because they enjoyed it. It really meant a lot to us.
Yeah, I mean, because like when I heard that they did that, I was like, oh, that is not normally a thing shows do. Certainly not children's shows, because I mean, because granted, some people on the internet will use that for stuff that is less than savory, obviously, but like that really goes to show, and also the amount of support that like Stefan was getting when like they were doing the GoFundMe's and all that. Yeah, that was insane. Oh God, I was going somewhere with this and I forgot what it was now. Looking through some of the other ones, I just pulled up all the images from the of course. Okay. Snow Halation, because this is okay. Let me mention this. This is something I don't think I told you this. So the cast of Love Live is made up of like all of my friends, like all of several voice actor friends of mine, and by pure, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, by pure coincidence, my friend who plays Reen was like, "Hey, a bunch of us are gonna get together and we're gonna do a screening." And we're going to just like watch like a bunch of episodes of Love Live together, like just because we want to. And I'm like, okay. And I knew very little about it. I knew it was like, oh, same face anime girls and they sing songs or whatever. It's like Idolmaster or whatever. Sure. Okay. But I was like, yeah, I want to go support my friends and hang out. Sure. I'll go check it out. And then ended up kind of like getting really into it. We watched like 4 or 5 episodes and I was like, oh, I actually kind of like this. And as fate would have it, the last of the episodes that we happened to see, I think because I didn't stay for the whole screening, the last one we saw was the one that ends with Snow Halation. And I was like, oh, that's a cool song. And I think I even like looked it up later. And then, because I wish I could, I unfortunately can't remember, and I might have even said how, on the Kirblog I did a couple years ago where I was explaining like the story of how I did the Nico Nico GRAND DAD April Fool's thing. So if anybody wants to go back to that and listen, then you'll remember for yourselves, because I certainly don't. I don't remember how exactly I first came into discovering SiIvaGunner, but SiIvaGunner, excuse me, now that I know the truth. I remember like when I was hearing all the Snow Halation ones, I was like, did they like read my mind? Are they peering into my life somehow? How did this happen? But I'm curious about where that one came from.
Yeah, one of our former team members, Triple Q, really liked the song, and what he used it in a few things, and I started using it in a few things. I just think a bunch of other people started using it, and we really enjoyed the song. Even I have never actually seen a single episode of Love Live. Yeah, I really enjoy Snow Halation in terms of music, and I think a lot of other people do too on the team.
Yeah. It's a good song. And yeah, shout out to Triple Q as well. I was actually, yeah, I think I was familiar with, excuse me, some of his work before the channel as well, because I think some old like Skype friends of mine used to listen to some of his mashups as well. And also shout out to, I do remember this, of course, to MTH, who was kind of my point of contact with getting to know the rest of you guys. MTH has done a lot of really, really great remixes throughout the channel, and also particularly MTH did kind of helped orchestrate. For those of you who don't know, this was very lovely of the folks that were involved. On the anniversary of the anniversary day of Tome on 11/11, MTH got a few different folks together, and they did a whole bunch of Tome mashups with various pieces of music, and I have a whole playlist. I think I'll probably link to that somewhere in the end, because I love that, and because
that was a really fun day.
Yeah, no, and I so that made me smile so much that day. Like I was so incredibly happy listening to all those, and I still go back and listen to them all the time. And even the little one that was out this past year as well. Yeah, that was wonderful, and it was funny because I know I told this story already, but I commented on MTH did a mashup of, oh no, it wasn't even a mashup. It was a remix of Faint by Linkin Park, which is one of my favorite childhood songs, with the Pokemon Black and White sound font. And I was like, I think I commented, I never knew that I wanted this, and I love this so much. And then MTH responded and was like, oh, hey, love your work, by the way. And I was like, oh! and then I guess we followed each other on Twitter, and then that was kind of around where I like learned like the real deal of what was going on with SiIva in general. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then that was when I learned like, oh, these guys are all really good people and like really talented folks. And I remember I think we got together and did like I don't know if you were there or not, but we did like a Discord like voice chat, and I got to like speak with everybody, and kind of got to like.
I think I was there for that. That was fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was already like a year or two ago, and I'm like, geez, man. I guess. And actually, almost forgot about this. So this was part of why actually we delayed doing this for a little bit. The channel went down recently.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, suppose it was bound to happen eventually, for as long as it took before it eventually happened. But I am glad that in more quickly than I presumed, it was brought back up again. Of course, you guys had the backup channel and everything for a little bit, so that was good. But so I mean, this is such a consistent thing. I mean, I'm presuming it's just like you guys all have your regular jobs and lives and blah blah blah, and this is just a side thing. But like, what is kind of like a day in the life for like all of you guys? Because it seems like there's a lot of really steadfast like organization, and especially with like the Bandcamp and releasing different like albums and like planned bombs of like, okay, this week we're gonna do all Inspector Gadget, or we're gonna do all I don't know, Simpsons or whatever kind of thing. What is kind of like the I guess the day-to-day like for like the community for you guys?
So basically the way we organize a lot of events is there's two SiIva servers. There's the Ripper server and there's the manager server. Mm-hmm. And the manager server is where we come up with a lot of ideas. The Ripper server, there's ideas thrown around too. But a lot of the major stuff is decided within the manager server, and in there, we hang out and we also come up with ideas too at the same time. So we're basically just talking, and we're also coming up with ideas. In term like, I don't know where I was going with that. But, yeah, we basically just hang out, and we'll come up with ideas. And if we think something's funny, we'll be more prone to be doing it. And one of the things that I really like about the channel, or at least the way it's set up, is the fact that we can be more timely with things. So if there's a particular event that happens that we want to comment on, like a new games announced or something, and someone's got a really funny idea for a rip that we can upload almost immediately, we make it and then we upload it. We did this a lot during the Smash Ultimate character reveals, where we to have a rip planned for every single reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun to plan. And during E3 especially, that was a lot of fun because we had Todd Howard take over the channel. And we tried to have rips prepared for every single conference.
Yeah.
So we had a rip prepared for Ridley's reveal at Nintendo's E3 conference just in case he got revealed. And when he did, we immediately published it as soon as the rip. Like, I don't even think his splash screen was up yet. We published the rip immediately.
That's just like that requires a fair amount of gaming culture clairvoyance to even just have that ready to go for just such an occasion.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry. This is going back a subject or two. I want to continue with that train of thought, but just before I forget this as well, Woodman is another meme. I just require some kind of explanation on if there is any.
Yes. One of my friends had a group of friends way back in the day. I don't know how long back, but they were searching through a bunch of old GeoCity site midis. I think they had a zip of 50,000 of them or something. And while searching one day, they found the Woodman one, and they thought it was really funny. So that was just kind of an inside joke between them for a long time. And then when we found out about it, we decided to spread it around because we thought it was really funny also.
Yeah. I used to go to vgmusic.com a lot way back in the day. And, a lot of those, because a lot of them were made just by teenagers and stuff with I'm playing with, Fruity Loops or whatever, whatever I have access to when I'm 15 and, doing the basic piano and trumpet crappy instruments. I mean, there's something charming about that sound to me, so I have a bit of a fondness for it. But and then but kind of in tandem with that, the little MS Paint drawing of him with the nice thing, was that just what even was that from?
I think that was just thrown together really quick to, just to promote the first, or it wasn't even the first one. It was it was our most pushed Woodman rip, I think, because it was one of our marketed as ending rips when we were ending the channel in 2016. We've had a lot of fake endings. But when we were promoting it, that, I think that was the first rip we uploaded in our ending rips catalog. So it was really, really heavily promoted. Mm-hmm. So I think that was just a quick drawing rip whipped up, and it stuck around.
Yeah. Back on track though. Sorry, I got a little off topic for a minute, but so stuff like the albums, which I'm assuming those tend to just be compilations of a bunch of stuff you guys have done over a period of time, and you just kind of pick all the best ones, something like that, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But then more in-depth things like the King for a Day tournament. I feel I get it, but I don't. I would love an explanation on how that kind of goes, because I love it.
Yeah, I'll explain this. We set up a tournament. We actually got a community strike. I don't remember what entirely the video was that we got the community strike on. But when I think at the time we had 2, so we couldn't upload for 2 weeks or something. Uh-huh. And we were trying to decide what to do during this time period. And someone suggested we hold a tournament to decide an event day. And to do this, we came up with characters to represent the different events. Mm-hmm. And the concept was they would take over the channel for a day. And to do this, we set up the character source list to say what kind of rips they would upload. We had the personification of unregistered Hypercam 2, which is an old recording software from 2008.
And yet a joke that I think everybody gets. Having that exactly. Stupid watermark up in the corner.
Exactly. And their gimmick would be uploading songs like Paralyzer and that Dreamscape song.
Yeah, which by the way, when I was listening to some of those, my girlfriend was downstairs and she was like, I know that. And I was like, wait, what is that? It's that's from this old thing from 15 years ago. And I'm like, wow. But then I look at unregistered Hypercam and I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one became a fan favorite in the tournament. So that one's the one that won. But and for the tournament, we kind of framed it as if it was kind of like a Smash Brothers type thing, and we made arrangements to promote each of the contestants. And to do that, we just came up with different songs that we thought would be cool to get cool arrangements for, and we compiled an album of those. And it was basically, we just made our own Smash Brothers style soundtrack for 16 really crazy characters.
See, I would love to. This is the kind of thing that I'm like, man, if only I had any ability whatsoever to like actually create music beyond just my shitty like acapella and kazoo nonsense that I've been doing for a while. Because I've been doing that on like Newgrounds for a while and like Tumblr or whatever, I would upload things like that. But like none of them are anything of any like importance. But like, and I have like one acapella thing on there that I think MTH submitted like on my behalf. It was like the dummy theme from Undertale.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that was fun, just because I was like, I just want to do this. You just reminded me. Yeah, they're fun. I'm not, I have a very fond appreciation for the work that musicians. I work with a lot of musicians on my own projects, and like I know what they go through to get really good product out and everything. And like, it sounds very businesslike, but yeah, and like I know how to work with musicians, but I have like zero knowledge whatsoever on even the most like basic bitch like garage band or something like that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But something I was reminded of, and I think you guys talked about this on the MagFest panel a year or two ago. You guys don't prefer to use sound fonts either. You guys have a very particular way of how you do your mashups. Is that right?
It depends, because there's some things that you can only use sound fonts for. For example, the DS.
Yeah.
In order to all their stuff can be easily separated with MIDIs. However, like Super Nintendo songs, it depends. Sometimes the rips with the sound fonts, they're not entirely accurate. So you might have to do different methods of ripping them. Like there's different trackers and things you need to use for those.
But I'm curious, and I mean, like, I don't know how complicated it may or may not be. Like, what is the actual process of, like, say, okay, I'm going to do a rip using, like, I don't know, like the Lost Woods theme from, like, Link to the Past or whatever. Like, do you go into, like, a ROM and, like, retrieve the sound data and, like, rip each individual, like, bit of data or, like, each tune or sound or whatever? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of software that can decompress the sounds from ROMs and stuff, and just export it that way. That, especially with like the DS, that's how we do it.
Okay.
But for Super Nintendo, I think that's all. I think there's other programs that can do that too. For that, I'm not very familiar with ripping Super Nintendo in general,
right.
But,
on that note, interestingly, a friend of mine who had some kind of he said it was a fairly like difficult process, but he had some kind of program specifically for ripping Super Nintendo stuff. And I remember because he gave me, I still have them somewhere. Maybe I'll put them up somewhere somehow. But he gave me the individual stems, not like every bit or whatever, but like the like tracks that are overlaid for like a few Donkey Kong Country songs and some Mario RPG stuff as well. And I made these like kind of progressive tracks, as in like, the tracks would slowly begin to like fade back into existence. Like very simple kind of stuff, nothing like, all that complicated or interesting. But just it was fun to like fiddle around with that. I always thought of like, if I was doing like some kind of like, like run through of a game and I wanted to like really make it special, have like voiceover or whatever, I would like mess with the music in that sort of way and insert that kind of stuff in there or something. But no, are there like, do you guys have like tutorials or like any kind of like information for like people who want to get into that? I mean, there are a lot of people who are up and coming that want to do music and games and things, and I'm sure that like experimenting with that kind of stuff is a lot of fun. Are there like resources for how to learn how to do that?
Yeah, there's a tutorial that one of our team members made, Matsu. He made a tutorial probably a year and a half ago, but at this point.
Okay.
That we host on our website. I'll send you the link so you can include it in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't know if it's ever something that I would like commit the time for, but like I don't know. It just something. Okay, you know what? I'll word it this way, and this leads to a request that I eventually had granted to me from somebody. Something about just the basic concept of like mashups and like screwing around with music that you love and doing these kind of things is something that I think a lot of people think about, like just for fun, like not even like too seriously or whatever. Because like I remember when I was a kid and I played like Donkey Kong Country 2 or whatever, like a Hot Head Bop, which was like the lava level theme. For some reason, it just got in my head, like just bored and messing around or whatever, not thinking too hard. I started doing like the Meow Mix theme, like mashed up, because it's like boom 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 meow 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 meow. I'm like 12 or whatever, like whatever, you know. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I wish that somehow I had like the ability to do that. Not even thinking that like, oh yeah, there are absolutely like relatively, well, I don't want to say easy ways, but there are ways to do that are like humanly possible by just like people with the right know-how or whatever. And then that was the first request I ever sent in formally to NTH, and they did a Hot Headed Bop mashed up with Meow Mix, and also had like a bit of the tone theme in there. And I'm just like, I love you. So that was a good day for me. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of what else. God, I'm sure there's probably like some other like really obvious questions that people are screaming at me for. But well, I guess from your perspective, are there any other, I guess, things in general about the channel or like interesting stories or accounts or things that like a lot of people out there don't know, whether they're like longtime fans or just people who are kind of curious about, you know, the whole deal with this, like that maybe you feel like sharing?
I think one of the most interesting things to me was the amount of attention it got really quickly, because we got discovered on I think around 2 months after I made the channel. We got discovered on Leap Day. Actually, it was February 29th, 2016. Like I feel like that's when we started actually getting traction, because we had 1,000 subscribers. Like we reached 1,000 subscribers that day, and we immediately like shot up to like 3,000 by the end of the day. And we started getting news articles written about us, and it was crazy. We got noticed really fast, and we had seen similar channels. Like there's one of our, like, I think some people actually knew about the channel before I found out about it, but there's a channel called Skyward Sword OST, and right as Skyward Sword was coming out, they released an entire fake soundtrack for it, and they basically did a lot of troll things like we do. So it was really interesting to see something like that, but that didn't ever really get any traction either. So it was kind of surprising that that we were able to get traction, and a lot of like similar channels weren't.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I remembered, I think I forgot to tell you about this too, but I remember a year or two ago as well, I saw the Yacht Club games. They were doing a Twitch stream, I think when they were just launching, what's it called? What was the second DLC? Spectre Knight, excuse me. The Spectre Knight DLC came out, and they were doing a special live stream, like promoting it or whatever. And somebody in the Twitch chat asked, "What's your favorite high quality rip?" And somebody on the team, because it was like all the dev team or whatever, somebody on the team was like, and then they started explaining like what that meant to like the rest of the people in the room, and a lot of them were like, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen something like that." So like even to like developers, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, wow!"
There's one in particular that there's one thing like that in particular I really like. It's when companies or like just people in general don't realize they have a rep when they're downloading the track or like posting something. Like when there was a news article about the Wii Shop channel closing, and the rip that they accidentally posted a rip in their article instead of the actual song, and it was the Wii Shop Bling one. That was really funny, and just the funniest example of that to me was when there's an official Nintendo channel. It's Nintendo Italy. Had a Mario Odyssey rip that we had in the background of one of their promotional videos, and that's still up. It's one of our contributors, Can of Nothing, made an arrangement of Cascade Kingdom before the game came out that sounded more like the original Mario style, like Mario 64 style.
Yeah.
And that arrangement's in the background of this Nintendo Italy promotional video.
You know, I was giving them a little shit about, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was like related. There's a spirit in Ultimate that like was a piece of fan art. Like somebody made like a fan sprite of I think it was Klaus from Mother 3, and it was pixel art. But I guess somebody didn't get the memo on that, and they just pulled it off of like Google image search or whatever, and didn't realize that it was fan art, and they put it in the game as a spirit.
Yeah.
And granted, that's like even more of an extreme case because that's like visual content. At least this was just like a promo video where it's like, okay, whatever. But like, man, that's like, what would you call the reversal of like flattery is the sincerest form imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Fucking. What? I don't even know how to describe that. Like, how do you quantify the official people not realizing, oh, we didn't make this, and we just use this in an official capacity? Oh my God!
Exactly.
Wow.
Whenever something like that happens, it really makes us laugh. And I remember another time when I think it was Snapchat had an article on the Super Nintendo Classic that came out or whatever, and the Witch Doctor Super Mario World rep was playing in the background of that.
Yeah.
And, it's so funny. I can't really explain how it feels whenever that happens.
I mean, it happens, I imagine, just out of like people not fucking paying enough attention.
Yeah.
For it to be so consistently.
Yeah.
I mentioned before I did a whole nother Kirblog about this already. I'll try and link that at the end. But I had a great experience getting to do about close to 2 years ago now already. God, I can't believe how fucking long time is passing. The Nico Nico GRAND DAD collab that I did. I mean, you guys have done a lot of really, really cool. Some of my favorite things on the channel are the collab remixes. Particularly, I don't know if you saw this, but I linked the We Are the Crystal Gems one to Ivy and Surashu, who composed the music for the show, and they were having a good time, like actually picking out like, oh, this is from Pokemon, or oh, this is from, you know, whatever, like Dark Souls or whatever, like that. There's something about that stuff that I think like kind of transcends even like the jokey part of the channel. But
that's so cool. I actually heard that. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah. I think it was shortly after it went up. If you dig through their old tweets or whatever, but because I met them a long time ago because I worked on another indie game with them a few years ago before Steven Universe was going on. But yeah, they're great. They're great folks. And I mean, like, you know, they're like any of us. Like, they started on the internet doing like small indie stuff and fan stuff or whatever, and now, you know, they're doing amazing things for like Cartoon Network and shit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to them. If those of you who don't follow Ivy and Surashu on Twitter, please do, because they're lovely people. Love them very much. But yeah, I had a great experience. And actually, you know what? Here, I'm curious, just because I feel like this kind of stuff is like up your alley. Were you or any of the others, like, throughout the community, were you guys into any of those old like Nico Nico Doga, like Kumikyoku medley things from back then? Like, were you aware of any of that stuff from a few years back?
I personally wasn't. I know, I'm fairly certain a few people on the team were.
Okay.
I don't know anyone like specifically, but I'm fairly certain a few of them were.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's the other reason why I was so intrigued by, and I mean those medleys were with a bunch of songs that I didn't even know. Because at least with the SiIvaGunner memes, I tend to be like, oh yeah, this is from this video game or this TV show or whatever. But, excuse me, the Nico Nico Doga meme songs that are often medleyed together were these really obscure kind of things that I had no idea. And the only reason I knew about that was because when I discovered, because they would used to do those like automatic Mario videos and everything, is finding out, oh, that Mario RPG music video I did in college is a meme in Japan. That's really surreal to me. Wow. That's a big thing. Is anytime I see Mario RPG arrangements, that just gets my blood pumping. Another shot. MTH made an arrangement of what was it? The Bandit's Way level theme set to the Nutcracker Suite, which I basically commissioned as a present for my dad, who adored that. And then another one I remember seeing, somebody did what's the You Say Run from My Hero Academia with Mario RPG instruments. And I linked that to the voice of Deku because he's an acquaintance of mine. And I was like, dude, and he was like, this is everything.
That's so cool.
Everybody loves this shit. It's just, there's just something about it where it's like, this is just fun, It's pure fun all the time.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask about, kind of off the heels of that, you guys have been doing MagFest. I don't know if you guys have been doing any other conventions or like personal appearances and stuff like that at any other cons, but when you guys do a panel or like, I don't know if you do like signings or have a table or anything like that, but like, what has been like the for lack of a better term, the IRL experience with fandoms and your viewership and everything to SiIva?
Oh, it's insane. The first we've done 2 panels at MagFest. We haven't gone to any other conventions besides White's at MagFest.
Okay.
And we had 3 autograph sessions. The first autograph session was completely filled. So like there was 100 people in line for us. I think we only signed like 95 because 5 people didn't show up. But there were so many people there. I was not expecting that. And when we had our first panel, I think the second panel too was also like this. The room was completely filled, and we were in the big panel room at MagFest. So it was really crazy to see that we would fill up an entire panel. Like just seeing the entire audience familiar with us or not even familiar with us, just interested in what we did. It's really spectacular. I couldn't have imagined getting a response like that.
Yeah, I mean, not that I have so much bigger of a platform than you or whatever, honestly, but I mean, like, for anybody listening to this that like is a fan of the channel and what all of you guys do you have anything to put out there for folks?
Yeah, thank you for listening and thank you for enjoying what we do. This means the world to me, and it means the world to everyone on the team. It's really spectacular. Yeah,
for real. And it's always lovely to listen to in the background while I'm working. It has been for a long time. So, last but not least, I don't know how much you can say, if anything, but future plans, things coming down the pipe that maybe you're excited about with the channel or otherwise.
Yeah, we're at the time of recording this, we are working on the final video for season 3 of SiIvaGunner. We separate each of our years by seasons, and since last year was kind of cut short due to the channel getting deleted, we are finishing up season 3 right now with the last video, and then we're moving into season 4, which we're trying to move it back to become more spontaneous, like we were in season 1, like the first year, where we would like respond to comments more, and we would just have a lot more fun with the channel, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what we also are planning a sequel to King for a Day, which is King for Another Day, and that one is going to have 32 contestants as opposed to 16.
Damn.
And we're spending a lot of time planning it because the first tournament we it was basically just on a whim, and we didn't really do much planning. But this time we're actually planning a lot of things for it, and creating a lot of arrangements ahead of time before the tournament starts, and just making sure it's going to be great.
Cool, awesome. And you want to give your Twitter a plug or anything like that, or any shout outs to any other people? Or
yeah. My personal Twitter is at the 8bits, and then the number 8 and then bits, and then for the for SiIvaGunner, the YouTube or the Twitter is at SiIvaGunner with a capital I. So hopefully that doesn't confuse you too much.
I'll have links in the description for y'all, so no worries on that.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. This was super cool, and I'm just happy to give people like yourself credit for all the lovely entertainment you provide us. So on literal.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hope to contribute more in the future. I know that there was a little something that I'll be vague and say that I recorded something for a while back that I hope will be happening soonish. But
yeah.
And actually I've had the pleasure of I won't name the person just yet because there will be some surprises coming up. But I even had the good fortune of getting to work with somebody from the channel on a little something for the Tome game recently. He contributed some music, which was lovely. So that's and it's actually slightly SiIvaGunner related. So I'm excited about that. But and thank you for the hookup with that too. I appreciate that. So.
Oh yeah, no worries.
All right, well that's gonna wrap us up. So please be sure to follow Chaze and the official Give Us Honor and SiIvaGunner channels and Twitters and all that shit. Look forward to the King for Another Day tournament very soon. I hope you all listening have if you bothered to celebrate in any way, shape, or form, St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. And I expect to see some Irish Celtic rips of some kind the day after this comes out. There better be, or I will sue. But all right, Chaze, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody out there for listening. If you have future Kirblog topic suggestions of any kind, feel free to leave a comment about that. Otherwise, I have something fun coming next week to announce, and look forward to that. Otherwise, we'll catch you later. Da 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 da.